Lads and ladies, a topic of discussion we can always have around these parts is the current feelings and sentiments that surround Sorare. And right now, I'd honestly say it feels like it's in a pretty good place, all things considered. There's some fun competitions and card designs that have come out recently. The Club World Cup is about to have full coverage. The new arena mode had a decent reception, and we've got the MLS hot streaks and, weekly rewards to look forward to. All in all, the game seems like it's in a good spot. But always in the background is that lingering afterthought of rewards being harder to come by, high-scoring game weeks making it feel futile competing against the star-tier cards, and gallery values shrinking ever more. And I'll concede, I've been negative about the state of the game in the past on my channel, but it's time we take the proverbial step back and look at the bigger picture. Sorare has now been going for 5 years consistently with no real danger of folding the game or creating a rug pull, and yeah, they gain and lose some licenses here and there on top of the ongoing court cases that surround the game as to whether it's classed as gambling, but all in all, Sorare has always been a constant in the Web3 football sphere. Some would perhaps argue that the switch of focus from all cards having the same utility to the current classic and in-season split was a mini rug pull, but I would not be inclined to appease that way of thinking. I would say that was more so Sorare adjusting their game to become sustainable in the long term. We have to look at what Sorare is doing compared to the other games in the Web3 football sphere. Football Index is of course a historic one where I believe court cases are still ongoing in terms of rugged users trying to get their funds compensated. That was obviously a fucking disaster, but looking at this all in the more recent past, and one game we're going to look at is Ultimate Champions, which is folding at the end of June after 3 to 4 years operating. Now, I did enjoy this game and, made content on it for what it was, but over the last year, the writing has been on the wall ever since the Euro 2024 rug pull, where they created the competition, announced the rewards, and then about 2 weeks after, once everyone had bought all of their cards and players, they said, actually, no, go fuck yourself. Basically, Ultimate Champions tried to be a lower league version of Sorare, but they couldn't really get it off the ground. The user base really was never there, and they never made enough money back off of their license fees, it feels like. So, they rugged the game, and they decided to go and make some anime instead, which is a choice. I mean, it's their choice, but a choice nonetheless. Pooky was another one that went under in the last year. Never really stood out to me as a game of interest in general, let alone one I could create content on. You literally buy a ball, predict some scores, and maybe win some crypto back. Never really edge of your seat stuff. I suppose the advantage certain managers would have is obviously having better football knowledge than your competition and being able to pick, more scores to come in. But all in all, fuck that. I'll just play Super 6 on Sky. And the prize pool aspect of Pooky, in theory, would have been funded by the purchase of Pokeballs themselves to enter the competitions. So basically, as long as new users kept buying Pokeballs, that would fund the prize pool, and then these two would almost meet at the top in a triangle shaped kind of way of working, but like a 3D version kind of triangle scheme thing. Not really sure what you'd call that shape, but that's what it was. And then the most recent game to go under, Stocks FC, it's gone the way of the worms, that being 6 foot in the ground. Now, the company behind this game are trying to say that they're rebranding and recreating something from the ground up, but it all sort of feels like empty platitudes tagged onto the derisory refund offer for their users who are out of luck. Now, I managed to avoid this game due to the obvious similarities to Football Index, which is also Dancing with the Worms. Is very much in the ground right now. But to me, the wild part about Stocks FC is that only a day before they rug pulled the game, they were selling new stocks, which is absolutely madness. And yeah, you can say they're refunding those very recent purchases, but a day before they rug pull, they must have known what was coming with their game. I almost feel like they put the stocks out for the pure purpose of refunding users so they could play the holier than thou card and basically be like, oh look, we're refunding you, we care about you, we're honest, we're in it for the long haul, give us money for our new project because we're so nice and honest, is the vibe. Obviously I'm just theorizing here, but it is madness basically, and I probably shouldn't say this, but fuck it, in the full view of transparency, Stocks FC head of marketing basically arranged a meeting with me 3 weeks ago, in terms of becoming an affiliate, making a few videos for them, blah blah blah. 3 weeks ago, by the way, let me say that again, 3 weeks before they rug pulled the game, the head of marketing was trying to get me involved in it. So basically they wanted me to put out a few videos, try and get some of you guys signed up to play, and then the game got rug pulled a few weeks later. I would have looked like an absolute bellend, you know, even more so than usual. So I think for Stocks FC, this whole scenario shows that at best, they were extremely short-sighted in terms of their vision of the game and had no real clue what was going on behind the scenes in terms of progression and the finances they had behind the game. But at worst, it shows how disingenuous they were being about the platform, you know, trying to sell new stocks, get new people signed on to get that last influx of money less than 3 weeks before the game got rug pulled. I really hope that's not the case, but it doesn't give me good vibes. So yeah, I do really hope that everyone watching this today, why would you, has managed to avoid losing any money on these games that have folded. You know, I always say from my end, any money you put into these Web3 games, you have to consider as fun money, money that you can essentially afford to piss up the wall. Not sure why you'd piss on the wall, just do it in the bathroom like a normal person, or in the garden, or... But the overall point of this video, we're gonna get there, I swear, circling back to the start, and that's full credit to Sorare, where in a world of vultures and shoddy teams running these Web3 football games, they've at least managed to keep their Sorare game fresh, exciting, transparent, and fun for over 5 years, I think, for the most part. That's up for discussion, obviously it's all perspective, but I feel like they've done a pretty damn good job. You know, as much as we moan about certain things, I think we do have to say that Sorare act with integrity and with the best interests of not only themselves, but the managers who play their game. So, overdue round of applause. Why is no one else clapping? What the fuck? So you know what, yeah, I may have only won $15 this game week, but that $15 has gone a lot further than what some of the previously mentioned games have managed to achieve in a lifetime. Here's a team for the weekend now the European season is over, and who cares if it does shit, because at least we can have fun and play the game. But I'd really prefer if it didn't do shit. That would resonate with my soul. And it would resonate with my soul if I catch you next time, and I will catch you next time because you guys are, what the fuck, I love you, bye.